Welcome to the Kale Houser Leadership Secrets podcast. Today, let's talk about how you define ROI. Hello, amazing people, and welcome back to the Kale Houser Leadership Secrets podcast. My name is Kale Houser. I appreciate you joining me today. Co-founder and CEO of Kale Houser Leadership. If you have not had a chance yet, please head on over to kalehouserleadership.com. Make sure you get our amazing free guide for the top 10 interview questions that you can start using on your next interview to find and hire the right people for your organization. Because if you do not have a plan going into it, if you do not have a process for finding the right people, and part of that is knowing what the right people look like, then you will inevitably and invariably find the wrong people and keep hiring it. If you are finding yourself in this situation where you're constantly frustrated by the people that you're putting on your team, they're not showing up, they're not doing the work, they're not qualified, they're not fitting into your culture, into your environment, then you need to change something. And you can start with changing how you do your hiring, where you look for people, how you find people, how you interview people, how you hire people. Make sure you do that today if this is something that you're struggling. kalehouserleadership.com. All right, today's topic was spurred out of a comment that was made by one of our VIP leadership members during one of our trainings. And also, by the way, if you have not yet, VIP Leadership Mastermind.com. And you can join our weekly mastermind group, and we do some pretty amazing trainings and have some legit interactions with some really super beneficial information, as well as conversations, and we can kind of learn from each other. But so yeah, VIP Leadership Mastermind.com, and you can get your first month half off. No commitment, no contracts, nothing like that. All right, so yes, it was this comment that was made by one of our VIP Leadership Mastermind members about it's easy to see people as dollar signs. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting, because I've never been in that industry. So he's in the financial industry. I've never been in that industry myself from the perspective of gaining of my income from that industry. So my interpretation of that comment was he was seeing it as, as he's going out and talking to his customers, and he's going out talking to future prospects and clients. Like he says, it's easy just to see them as dollar signs. Like, these are people I need to get money from. And on one hand, that is true. That is 100% true of everyone else has what you want and what you need, especially money. Like, other people have your money. Grant Cardone's famous for saying, "Who's got my money?" And that's really helping to identify your future clients, to identify the people that are able to pay you for your products and services. But in the concept that in the mastermind that he kind of was talking about was, you lose sight of that relationship aspect. You lose sight of, like, oh, that's Jeff over there, not just, Mr., he's got $10,000 or whatever. He's not just a dollar sign. And it got me thinking a little bit about this, like, how do we define and how do we perceive our own ROI? So ROI is return on investment. Now, typically this is a financial term. Of course, you hear a lot about it, with investments and stocks and investing, real estate, and all the different things, because it's what do I expect to get in return for this investment? But I want to encourage you to take this a step further beyond just your finances. Okay. Because yes, you should, if you're putting money into something, you should expect something in return. That's kind of how our economy works. And it's the same for your customers. They're putting money into you. What are they getting in return for that investment in themselves? Okay. But I want to take this a little bit beyond just the financial. Because as leaders, as business owners, we invest in all kinds of different things that are nothing to do with financial. We invest our time, of course. We invest our energy. We invest our resources. We invest our future of our business. We invest the security of our business. We invest the reputation of our business. In who? Who do you invest in? Your people, right? And how do you perceive your return on those investments? Now, the classic, kind of the archetypical, the typical perception of this is, right, you've got your corporation with your managers and your mid-managers, and then all the peons down below that do all the work. And they're just, what have you done for me lately? This is exactly how, the military is set up. You got your generals, your colonels, your captains, lieutenants, blah, 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 all the way down to your lowest soldier, private, airman, whatever. And they are seen as just tools. And I want to hopefully you do not see your people as merely as tools to get you to a point. Hopefully you are seeing like, okay, I'm going to invest time over here in Johnny because Johnny is learning. Maybe they're, a fresh high school or college graduate, or they're coming out of a different industry and learning something new. So I see all kinds of potential in Johnny because I hired Johnny. I understand Johnny, that he's in line with what his goals are for his life and the goals of our company. He's a good fit for everyone around here. He challenges us. He makes us laugh. We're like, whatever, okay? You hired Johnny, but you see that potential. So I'm going to invest in Johnny, which maybe means sitting down with Johnny once a week, every week, checking up on him, making sure he's got the tools and the education and the resources to be successful. How you're investing in that. Now, are you doing it purely because Johnny in 3 months needs to be pulling in an additional, 10, 20, 30, 50 grand a month in revenue? Or are you doing it because you see great potential for Johnny in your organization? Like you see, hey, as I get ready to expand and open up another store, another location, another branch office in the community next door, and I want somebody, in 5 years from now, whatever that is, 2 years from now, I want somebody that has come up through our organization that really understands the aspects of the business to put as that store manager or as that district manager, regional manager, whatever. Like, how are you viewing and defining your return on investment, specifically in your people, in your organization? Because this needs to go beyond just seeing them as tools. Because it's easy to get caught up in the, what have you done for me? What are your results? What are your numbers? But what about, have they become more efficient at the tasks? Have they learned to a degree where it takes them less time to execute tasks, which it should, right, with experience? Or maybe you don't have a definition at all. Maybe this is something that you haven't even thought about because you're so overwhelmed with everything else and trying to build your organization that you haven't even considered beyond the, I pay Johnny $10 an hour and what am I getting for my money from Johnny? It's a very one-way relationship that teams are not built on. Teams are not built on a one-way relationship. I mean, look at any, coach, student, athlete type of relationship. Yes, the coach shows up and says, hey, you need to go run this track and do the warm-ups, and here's all the plays we're going to practice and execute. But then the student shows up as well, and he puts their best effort in. She does the things the coach has asked. But then there's this constant form of feedback that as each other gets better, they're mutually beneficial in the sense of they're progressing towards a goal. And they have a defined return on investment. The coach is investing his or her time into the athlete, the student, and the athlete and student is trusting their future that the coach knows what they're doing in order to give them the right information to get better. So that's their return on investment for each other. So I would highly encourage you, yes, you obviously finances, you should understand what your return on investment is for your finances. If you go purchase a new building, a new warehouse, you should run the numbers and understand X amount of dollars, blah, 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 blah. Do your return on that finances, or the building's going to appreciate and make me an extra couple $1 million in 2 years. But how are you doing that with your people? How are you doing that with your teammates to understand what is your return on investment from them? And are there areas that you're not investing in them and you're missing out on those returns? You're missing out on the opportunity to grow them, to encourage them, to challenge them to where they actually produce more, get more, are more for your organization. Okay. So this is what leadership is thinking about these types of things. How do I, by the application of the right resources, pressure, encouragement, get more and grow more from my team and allow them the opportunity to, rise to challenges, allow them opportunities to expand in whatever that looks like for your organization, more money, more customers, blah, 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 all the things as dependent on what you do. That makes sense? Now, I would highly encourage you, if you do not have a definition of this, if you do not understand beyond just the financial dollar in, $2 out type of ROI concept, start thinking about this and start looking around at your organization. And you can probably think of one or two right now where you're like, man, if I would take the time to come alongside that person over there and really kind of give them those small nudges and tips and tricks to be better, their productivity would probably skyrocket. Their enjoyment of coming into work would probably completely change for the better. Okay, so I would encourage you to do that, because that's what leaders do. No one ever said it was hard. No one ever said it was easy, but there's a point where you get better at it, and eventually, hopefully, so good at it that people just are naturally gravitate towards you because you're amazing. All right, and that's what we want for you, is to be amazing. If there's anything we can do to help you, let us know. Kale at Kale Houser Leadership. Get kalehouserleadership.com for your 10 interview questions. If you want to be a part of our amazing mastermind, VIP Leadership Mastermind.com. You can join today for half off, which is pretty good. It will change your life. Looking forward to talking to you no matter where you're at in the world. Have a fantastic afternoon. Bye.